Welcome to our webinar, Annual Midwives Day Celebration 2024, with the theme Global Collaboration, Bridging Gaps for Sustainable Midwifery. I am Manisa Kurniaramdini. You can call me Icha. I am graduated as a midwife and also a runner-up of Indonesian Genre Ambassador 2020. And I feel so excited and very grateful to be your host in this event. I see the participant is coming from a various city and various country. Please write in the comment section, where are you from? Okay, with my kindness, I would like to say thank you to all the participants for taking the time to join us today. We hope that it make it work by providing valuable insight and sharing informative knowledge from our incredible speaker. Today's webinar is proudly presented by Ruang Bidan Indonesia to celebrate International Midwives Day on 5th May. Okay, I will inform you our rundown for this event. This event will start by play video by Ruang Bidan Indonesia, and the next is speech from our project coordinator, and then the main event is presentation from our speakers. And the last event is discussion session. Discussion session will be held after all the presentation have finished. Okay, maybe the operator can share the video profile of Ruang Bidan Indonesia. Okay, this is the video. Happy watching. Okay, like in the video, Ruang Bidan Indonesia is Insta home for Indonesian midwives. Ruang Bidan Indonesia is organization will continue to grow and develop over the last 4 years. Our vision is become a platform that can be used to learn, update, and connect networks between midwives in Indonesia to improve career development and provide high-quality midwifery services with motto, being a midwife with a heart, menjadi bidan dengan hati. Now, now we will hear our speech, welcoming speech from our project coordinator, namely Miss Diana Rahima. For Diana, time and screen is yours.
Thank you, Icha or Anissa. Okay, Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleague and dedicated midwife from around the world. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to International Day of Midwife celebration hosted by Ruang Bidan Indonesia under the theme Global Collaboration, Bridging the Gaps from Sustainable Midwifery. It's an honor to stand before you today as we gather to commemorate and elevate the crucial role of midwife in the healthcare. As a project coordinator, it's my privilege to initiate this important gathering focused on advancing the field of midwifery. As we delve into the momentous occasion, let us reflect on the profound impact that midwifery has the lives of women throughout their life cycles. Midwifery is not just a profession, it's a calling that embodies compassion, expertise, and dedication to maternal and newborn health. In today's interconnected world, the landscape of midwifery is evolving, offering a myriad of opportunity for career growth and innovation. From clinical practice to public health initiative, midwives play a pivotal role in shaping sustainable healthcare system. Our webinar aims to foster global collaboration by bridging together experts from diverse backgrounds to discuss challenges, share successes, and explore best practices in sustainable midwifery. Through panel discussion and insightful presentation, we aim to inspire and empower midwifery students and practitioners worldwide. And we have created the lineup of distinguished speakers who will share their expertise and experience. And we have Deborah Armbruster from the Maternal and Newborn Division USAID, Sandra Oyarzo Torre, President of the International Confederation of Midwife, and Hanifatur Rosyidah, an alumni of the Young Midwife Leaders Program 2021 by International Confederation of Midwife. And to our participant, especially midwifery student and practitioner from Indonesia. And I saw the comment from Thailand and United Kingdom and beyond. Thank you for joining us in this pivotal dialogue. And your dedication to advancing midwifery practice is commendable, and your contribution are invaluable to global healthcare community. Without further ado, let's us embark on this journey of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and empowerment. Together, we can bridge the gaps and pave the ways for sustainable midwifery practices worldwide. Thank you. Enjoy the webinar. Back to you, Icha.
Okay, thank you, Diana, for your speech. You look so beautiful today. And you have worked hard for this event. Okay, dear all participants, please turn on your camera, please, for greeting our incredible speakers. Okay, and I am also want to say biggest thank you to Mrs. Iza and Mrs. Diane, who are now be the operator of this event because they have preparing and mentoring this event since 2 months ago, and they have worked hard for this event too. So before the main event of this webinar, which is a presentation from our 3 incredible speakers, let me to inform you our rules of webinar. The first is we're going to turn on caption, which is in English. If you need any help, have comment or have question, the moderator will be help you. Jadi pada ruang Zoom kali ini nanti akan kami aktifkan fitur caption dalam bahasa Inggris yang nantinya akan membantu semua partisipan dalam memahami materi yang akan disampaikan oleh para pemateri. Jika nanti memiliki pertanyaan, silahkan boleh sampaikan melalui bahasa Indonesia, nanti akan dibantu oleh moderator kita. Okay, the second is please raise hand and open the mic if you have any question to our speakers in discussion season. And the third is please keep all question and comment respectful and relevant to the topic, and any inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. The fourth is please note that today's webinar is being recorded for future reference, and we will upload it at platform YouTube or Instagram. And the last one is once again, turn on your camera and use our background. This is our rules to ensure that everyone has a positive and productive webinar experience. Now we're moving to the main event, and I will invite the moderator, but I will read her CV first. Maybe the operator can share her CV. Okay, this is her CV. Her full name is Luh Sukeningsih SKBD, and she started her education at 11 Maret University, diploma level in midwifery, and she continued her education at Airlangga University, program study Bachelor and Profession of Midwifery. And she have impressive organizational experience, work, and training. Midwife Suke, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, how's your feel?
I'm so nervous today.
Oh, I'm so nervous too, but I'm so excited to hear the presentation from our speakers. Midwife Suke, yesterday I see your post in Instagram. You are give counseling to teenager. Where is it?
There's in Nusa Penida. I give
Oh,
in Nusa Penida.
oh, it's look really fun. And Midwife Suke, the time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Midwife Anissa, for the time, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to Ruang Bidan Indonesia Midwife Forum, Global Collaboration, Bridging Gaps for Sustainable Midwifery as a topic to celebrate International Day of the Midwife 2024. My name is Losuke Ningsih. I'm a midwife who worked at Bali Children Project in the Sexual and Health Program. This is my very first time to be the moderator, and I feel so nervous, but I will try to do my best in these special moments. I'm here to make sure our discussion runs smoothly and that everyone has an opportunity to participate. And before we dive into our exciting talks, let me give you a quick overview of what we have for today. The first, we have expert panel discussion. In panel discussion with expert, we discuss challenges and also best practice in sustainable midwifery. And we have three speakers today. There are Deborah Armbruster, Sarah Oyarzo Torre, and also Hanifatur Rosyidah. And the second, we have Q&A session, and the last, we have closing remarks. And let's start our first discussion panel. Today we have a midwifery expert who will provide us with valuable insight. I would like to introduce our expert speakers, Deborah Armbruster. Deborah Armbruster is a senior maternal and newborn health advisor in Maternal and Newborn Health Division of USAID. And she is a colleague on the Safe Blood Project, technical advisor for the Momentum Country and Global Leadership Project, and Momentum Safe Surgery in Family Planning and also obstetrics. She has more than 30 years of experience in safe motherhood and reproductive health program in more than 20 countries. And as you can see on the screen, she also has various professional experience, and her educational background is very diverse, including midwifery. She has numerous of academic publications, and the last publication is Heat Stable Carbetocin to Prevent Postpartum Hemorrhage. Now, without further ado, let me invite Deborah Armbruster to the forum. Hello, Deborah. Can you hear my voice?
I most certainly can. I'm very impressed with all of the introductions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. How are you today?
I am quite fine. I'm quite fine. I'm here in Jakarta, enjoying Indonesia, and had lovely nasi goreng for dinner.
Okay, that's great, Deborah. So good evening from Indonesia. We are so happy to have you here. We can wait to hear your stories and experiences. Do you want to share your screen by yourself? No. Okay. Please for the operator to help share the screen for the presentation. For your information, you have 30 minutes to present your material, and from now, the time is yours.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here this evening here. And if it's the UK, it's the afternoon, and we do welcome everybody. I also want to say it was really wonderful to see what all this Ruang Bidan Indonesia is doing. That it's exciting and important. So next slide, please. So the objectives of this presentation, after it, the learners will be able to define what makes a midwife essential, at least from my perspective, describe the many roles of midwives, describe the skills needed for work in public health and government, including the power of data, which I think is incredibly important, metrics and they inform our practice, monitoring and evaluation, understanding and using research findings, and a real knowledge of global recommendations, the initiatives, and the important decision makers and influencers. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the work about listening to women in some of those policies. Next slide, please. So I don't think we need to go through the definition of midwifery, though I put it up here. But why are midwives essential? I already think it's been mentioned that we work in partnership with women. We give necessary support, care, and advice during pregnancy, labor, and the postpartum period, and beyond, in all honesty. We have skills to provide family planning as well. And it's important that we provide good care for the newborn and infant. We listen to women to understand their needs and requests. And I have been recently listening to discussions about the private midwives and why women choose them. They choose them because we listen to them, or the private midwives are listening to the women, understanding them well, and they provide the respectful and dignified care. And we need to do that for everyone. How are midwives essential? And I think this is a really, really important thing we all need to realize for our profession, that we need to be competent, we need to stay competent, we need to be confident, and I can see a lot of confident midwives at the meeting today and leading our meeting, and we need to be accountable for what we do. We need to be accountable for providing quality care to all the women and newborns that need it. Next slide, please. So, key role, and I do think we all should at one point be a clinician. We need to be knowledgeable and skilled in all areas of practice. And this is even true for those, especially that are educators, that are researchers, that like me are really public health midwives who work in government. We need to be lifelong learners and keep ourselves updated with the latest evidence-based practice. And sometimes that can be hard. You don't know where to find it. And that's how a group like yours can be really important to make sure that this happens and provide opportunities. We need to stay clinically competent through drills or practice of all these skills, especially those required for emergencies, because we don't, thank heavens, we don't use them very often. And we need to ensure that we provide quality care that's women-centered. And we need, and we'll talk a lot more about this, to be able to monitor and evaluate our practice, really using data. Next slide. Our academicians are incredibly important. Our educators, they need to be experienced, they need to be motivated, and really importantly, they need to be great role models for how you care for women. And they need to stay clinically competent and updated, which can be a challenge. Midwifery researchers, there aren't as many, but they are very important to us because we bring a unique perspective, and these researchers can help inform our practice and inform others' practice on how better to care for women. Let's talk a little bit about that. Next slide. So this is a group that does research out of Canada, led by midwives. I think this is a really exciting place. They do community-based participatory research, and it's a very unique thing to do. They work with communities to identify what are the research problems we should be looking at. They help all the way through with tools, with reviewing and analyzing the data. So it's a really exciting place, and they have done a lot of work on respectful maternity care. And you can see the studies that they have been doing. And I think they're not only leaders, but they are being asked to speak to a lot of groups because of not only being researched, but doing it in a very unique way. Next slide. They're connected to the University of British Columbia, and some of the work they did has really looked at person-centered decision-making. How do we help women make decisions for themselves? And I think it's important for all of us to be thinking about that. A lot of times we think we just give information, but in fact, we need to help women understand what kind of questions to ask and to be able to share what it is they really want. Next slide, please. Advocacy and leadership. And I think this is a really, both of these are very important as well. We are probably the leads, midwives, in advocating for respectful and woman-centered care. And I think globally we've done a darn good job. My former supervisor, my boss, Mary Ellen Stanton, midwife, really believed in this and really fought hard with our leadership to get research done to show how important it is. This is probably 10 years, 15 years ago. And look at where we are now. Everybody talks about it. We can make a difference, and it's really exciting to see. But we also need to advocate for changes in education when it's not the quality that's needed. And I know that IBI, the Indonesian Midwives Association, for as long as I can remember, and that's going back 20 years or so, has really been concerned and advocating for quality education, accredited schools, and to try to make sure that there wasn't such a proliferation of schools that weren't necessarily high quality. So let's look at a little bit at what some midwives can do. And these pictures will come up again. Next slide, please. So the White Ribbon Alliance and Midwives in Malawi, which is in Africa, in 2016, they conducted a census-style survey of all the facilities in Malawi because they wanted to find out how many midwives were really providing midwifery, because they knew they didn't have enough midwives available to do the work needed. They highlighted a critical shortage of midwives with a gap of more than 20,000 midwives identified. Next slide, please. Then they went out and conducted citizens' hearings in communities to help communities understand what the issues were. They trained midwives to be citizen journalists, to really start getting the information out there. And then they met with the Minister of Health and the First Lady to really point out what gaps needed to be filled. Next slide. And look what they were able to do. They were able, through all of this advocacy, to get 925 additional midwives recruited into the government system, and 303 of them promoted. A huge task that a group of midwives in a small African country were able to do. Next slide. Now, this is a little complicated slide, and really what I want you to understand, this was done in India. It's also the White Ribbon Alliance that was working on this. Now, start at the left side down at the bottom. Again, gathered evidence. They they highlighted and found out how everybody denied that there was a problem with respectful care. They identified there was a lack of policies and protocols on this. Then you move on up. Then they recognized and got policies and guidelines and health workers' curricula to include respectful care. And then they broke the veil of silence about this problem. They got it embedded in the health system, and there's a big government initiative called the Laksha Project that really focuses on this. They developed partners, they created champions, they had fora, and they really help women and citizens and the media understand that respectful care for women was needed and that everybody should demand the same. So, you know, it's possible, again, that we can do things and make big changes when we need to. Next slide, please. So again, there is White Ribbon Alliance is here. I'm a bit embarrassed. I should go to see these folks. I haven't yet, so I apologize. But they did the Global White Ribbon Alliance did a very important, it was called the What Women Want campaign. This was a global project. And they asked women, what is it you want? This has been a powerful tool, you know, from everybody from WHO to my leadership using this data to say, this is what women want. Therefore, we need to work on it. The first demand was respectful and dignified care. The second one, but the second and third surprised me a bit, but it shouldn't have. They wanted a clean facility. And they wanted to make sure there was good sanitation everywhere. And they didn't want any stockouts of medicines and supplies. Now, I don't think these are the biggest problems here in Indonesia. But this is to show you what's possible, to help us learn and use data to understand what really is it that women want us to do and to provide in terms of the care for them. Next slide. Then there's program implementation. I was hearing that the person who is leading this meeting, she's being our lead, is part of program implementation. She works on a project. So in addition to government healthcare services, there are many faith-based organizations that provide facility-based services and community-based programs. Muhammadiyah is a very large and very powerful one here in Indonesia, and I have seen some great work that they've done. Catholic Relief Services, and there are many other faith-based groups that provide these kinds of things. Then there are the non-governmental, and many of you may have heard of Save the Children or PATH. PATH is working on digitalization here. And the two photos that are the bigger ones on the left are actually from a project from USAID with a local staff of JAPIGO for the Country and Global Leadership Program. And you can see one of them is trying to understand if the women are satisfied with services. And the bottom one is really looking at what I've said is really important, helping facilities understand and use their data. These are a lot of bar charts showing them how well they're doing and whether they are actually bringing down things like postpartum hemorrhage, bringing down newborn asphyxia, and if not, what do we do about it? Next slide. So now over to collaborators. Okay, I have been working for United States Agency for International Development for about 10 years. Before that, I was a clinician, and I was also somebody who did program implementation. I also have a master's in public health. I don't think, that the master's in public health is required, but I do think we need to understand individual care and then care for a population. And so what kind of knowledge and skills do you need? You need to understand your government's policies. What are their policies on maternal and newborn health and all that relates or impacts it? What are their policies on quality of care and primary health care? And for Indonesia, for a very long time now, probably close to 20 years, all of the governments that have have been in place have been concerned about maternal mortality. It's not decreasing as it should. They've done research, they've tried many different things. It still isn't going down in the way that it should. And so that's important to know. Who are the personnel you need to work with? So you've got the Directorate of Maternal, and I may not get all of these right, of Maternal Child Health. You have got the group that does curative care and referrals. Under them, I think, is the quality of care section. And then all of these directorates end up being important for you. In Indonesia, stunting is a big deal. Nutrition and the group that does nutrition is also clearly important. And what are the goals that governments want to achieve for maternal health? So I will say, recently, Minister Budi was at a meeting with a lot of bigwigs, probably in Davos, and he came back having learned about an important intervention called it was a trial, the emotive trial, that really showed how you can use a set of, it's a bundle, but it's a set of interventions to really improve deaths from postpartum hemorrhage. So now he has mandated that we need to work on it here in Indonesia. So you'll see a little bit more about that later on. Next slide, please. Okay, back to data. Okay. Oh, when I was a clinician, this was not anything I paid a lot of attention to, but I will say over time, and Indonesia does an amazing job at collecting data. You have many, many systems. In fact, sometimes it makes my head spin. I'm not sure how people really can use all of this data, but it is important for midwives, even on a clinical level, to understand use and potentially how to collect data. Part of that is actually also monitoring and evaluation skills. Now, that's a little bit, I don't consider that I'm a monitoring and evaluation expert, but you need to know who can help you. If you want to know if your practice is doing better and you see that you have too many babies that have asphyxia, what kind of indicators should you use to tell you it's getting better? Some of it's watching your data, but maybe it's an indicator on how many babies were resuscitated after asphyxia, right? So those are the kinds of skills that are important for us. And then there are public health skills. And some of that is, it still comes back to the use of data, but it's understanding a population as opposed to our individual clinical care. But we still need to know the basics of clinical care to be a good public health clinician. Next slide. So we're going to go through a little of the data that we all should understand and use. And first, we'll start with maternal mortality, right? Now, the slide on the left is important. It's a major message that we have globally now. We were able, from about 2000 to maybe 2015, bring down maternal mortality by 45% globally. But look what's happened. It has really plateaued. I know Indonesia has been working on it for quite a while, but now globally, we don't seem to be bringing down maternal mortality like we should, and we need to figure out why. So, you need the data to understand you need to work on it. Now here, this next one is also important. What are the causes? And are we understanding what the big issues are here in Indonesia? Or particular, I know that there's an area out in Banten that has really identified eclampsia. They're getting eclampsia. So they're really focused on trying to have indicators and figure out how to bring that down. But you can see the big ones, the biggest one really overall is the indirect causes. And that's because you're really a middle-income country now. You have more hypertension, more diabetes, more obesity, and cardiovascular disease. And in my country, cardiomyopathies are actually the #1 killer. There isn't as much we can do about that, so we focus on the direct causes, which still are important and overall more important. That's postpartum hemorrhage. Do we know how to measure it? and how to manage it. The HTN is hypertension, which includes preeclampsia, eclampsia, and our sepsis. So we need to understand in our practices on our island, which of these are our issues that we really need to focus on. Next slide, please. So we can look at it different ways. Here are the medicines that are needed for these particular diseases or causes of mortality. Do we have them available to us? I think there's a few medicines that midwives in Indonesia need to get access to. One of them is tranexamic acid, because you can't use the emotive bundle if you can't use tranexamic acid. Next slide, please. And here's kind of your big picture. So in 2017, we had approximately 295,000 maternal deaths. That made the MMR of 211, and it's a ratio, not a rate, per 100,000 live births. Now you can see Indonesia is in the pink. You're between 100 and 299. So there are countries that are much worse. There's also countries that are much better. And the least developed countries, the MMRs are around 415. And in sub-Saharan Africa, it can be as high as 542. So these are things we need to understand, and we need to use this data. Next slide, please. We can't forget our newborns, okay? So our neonatal rates. We lose, while it's only 295,000 maternal deaths, 2.4 million neonatal deaths. We really need to address that. Look at the bottom, 2 million stillbirths. That's 4.5 million babies that don't make it. So this period is an incredibly important and vulnerable time. 47% of the under 5 mortality are neonates. We could make a real big dent on this. Now, I will say the data from Indonesia, you are doing fairly well with your newborns compared to many countries, but we can always get better. Next slide. Okay, now this one is a little more complicated, but important, and it's called the annual rate of reduction of, let's say, maternal mortality ratio. And what it's saying is how much work we have to do to actually continue to bring the rates down. And you can see we have a lot of work to do in the maternal mortality area. And we have both for stillbirths and neonates, it's higher than it used to be. These are difficult, but it tells us we really have to work hard. Next slide. Okay, now this is a slide that shows you where Indonesia is amongst the Asian countries, Southeast Asian, or Asia Pacific, I think they're calling it. So Indonesia is red there, third from the bottom. And it is, I have 10 minutes, thank you very much. Papua New Guinea is close by with Afghanistan. And what this means is it's going to take you, at the current rate of reduction of maternal mortality, it's going to take you 54 years to get there. Lots of work to do. Next slide, please. More power of data. It's another way to look at cause of death, but this actually shows the interventions that are needed in order to address these causes of death. You'll have the slides here. We won't go through these right now. Next slide, please. So this is newborn, this is maternal. Next slide, please. And I just want to talk a little bit about some of the important initiatives and work we can be doing or should be doing as midwives globally. We've talked about respectful maternity care. Here's a charter that you can use. You can translate it into Indonesian. That would be in Bahasa Indonesian. That would be great. And on the right side, this is really looking at what should we be looking at for quality of care. This is WHO's quality of care framework. And look, they consider the provision of care equally important to the experience of care for women. Next slide, please. Here are some directly directed at us, midwives. You know, there is a global push to address PPH. And there is actually WHO in this last year has created a roadmap to help us combat PPH. We have recommendations about the medicines we should be using. One of these is on tranexamic acid, one is on the uterotonics. There's a community of practice that you could join that actually talks about many topics around PPH and is really trying to make a difference. Next slide, please. This is the emotive trial. Again, I'd be happy to come back at another time to talk to you all about this. This is something I spend a lot of time on. But what it shows is that, one, you need early detection. We need to really be measuring blood loss. We are very bad at estimating. We want to, these four things in the middle, massage the uterus, give a uterotonic, give tranexamic acid, and IV fluids, kind of pretty much at the same time with some help to actually stop bleeding if we've identified it's a problem. We need to move them on quickly if we still aren't able to stop the bleeding. And the importance of communication, teamwork, audits and data, watching your data, having champions, all of these things, including training, are important to make this emotive bundle work and to really bring down maternal mortality. Next slide, for PPH. This is for child health. I mean, midwives out there, especially the private midwives or in the rural areas, they are doing a lot of under 5 work as well. This talks about early childhood development. It is a global policy and a framework important for you to know about. Next slide. Care for the small and sick. Again, these are going to be usually at district hospitals. Hopefully, what midwives can do is understand how to stabilize babies and refer them on when needed. But again, important to know. Next slide, please. The Every Newborn Action Plan, ENAP, and Ending Preventable Maternal Mortality, these are two very important global initiatives that WHO, UNFPA, and UNICEF are all working to implement. And I was just at a meeting with Bulela she's in the MCH division of your ministry, along with somebody, I apologize, forget his name, from the curative division in Bangkok, on a meeting to actually look at this, along with midwifery. Next slide, please. And this is really my last slide. This is something that, again, we need to understand better. And UNFPA here in Indonesia is doing a lot of work on midwifery. So as a group, it would be good to have them speak about the different activities that they're supporting, and for you to give them ideas about what you feel is needed here. But this position paper is in process. Keep your eyes open, watch for it to come out. It's something important. You know, there's another document that they're working on as well, but there's a lot of work being done to strengthen midwifery in recognition of the importance of midwives, as was stated in the beginning. And with that, I'm done. Next slide is a thank you, I'm pretty sure. Yep. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I look forward to questions. Back to you.
Thank you, Deborah. That was a great presentation. Thank you for insightful information. Now it's time for you to rest, and we will continue with the second speaker. So I hope you still join us on the Zoom meeting. And the next session, allow me to introduce our next speakers. She is Sandra Oyarzo Torre. Sandra Oyarzo Torre elected to be ICM President in June 2023. As the ICM President, Sandra is responsible for the overall leadership and also governance of the Confederation. Sandra works as an associate professor at the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Chile since 1998. She is also a registered midwife, has a master's degree in health science education, and master trainer CBE TOT. Without further ado, please welcome Sandra to our virtual stage. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, dear all. Hi there.
Hello. How was your day?
Very good. I'm just it's an early morning for me. So, but I'm really honored to be here, and also, with this amazing presentation that was from our colleague before. So I'm really happy to join you and really thankful for your invitation to be with you.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. And do you want to share your screen by yourself?
Yeah, thank you, please.
Okay, it's okay. For your information, you have 30 minutes, and now time is yours.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm really thankful, as I said, to be with you today, and this, celebration of the International Day of the Midwife. And I was asked to share with you some thoughts about forming strong connections among midwives. So I hope that that we go through this presentation and you get this idea on the most important aspects of this theme. But first of all, of course, I want to remind you what is ICM, and this is why and that is the reason why I'm here today, what I was invited for, is to remember that we are a global voice for midwives and midwives association for more than 100 years. So that's really important to know. And we work with midwives and midwives associations globally to ensure that women and gender diverse people have access to midwives care before, during, and after childbirth. So after 100 years, this is the first time there is a president that is out of the European or the American part of the world. So we're really thrilled that that's many opportunities for midwives also to have their voice heard, and this to show you how also ICM is going through a really important governance change during the past years. That means, of course, many more opportunities for midwives to come to these positions and also learn many things. As you can see, we can see the global the map here, and we are really in different parts of the world. Midwives are stronger together, as you can see. Of course, most of the midwives associations come from Europe, from Africa, and also countries like yours. And the less of us are the ones in Latin America, where I'm from, like almost in the end of the world, as you can see, is Chile, really close to the Antarctica. But of course, we're really working strongly at ICM to bring more midwives associations into ICM, because of course, the more close we are, the more together we are, the stronger we become. And which one is our vision at ICM? We envision a world where every childbearing woman has access to midwife's care for herself and her newborn. This is what we really want, and we still want this after 100 years. So as the professor was showing before, of course, we see that we still need more midwives every day. And hopefully this vision that that ICM has also is your vision. And I'm really happy to see, I'm thrilled to see that that you're so well organized in your association, and you're bringing more midwives together that of course will have this vision in their minds and hearts. And which one is our vision? Our vision in the first place is to strengthen midwives associations. Why? Because we are not so many midwives in the world, and we need to be together. And if we are together, our voice will be strong, the work that we do will be strong, and we'll be supporting women to really have the best care and the best quality of care when they really need it. And also, on the other hand, to advance the profession of midwifery globally by promoting autonomous midwives. That's really important. We're still struggling, for trying that, they try to put us together with, with the nurses. Of course, we respect nurses and all the healthcare professions, doctors, and all the other professions, but we are really different. We have our scope of practice, our philosophy of the work that we do. So we really want to be recognized as an autonomous midwives, and of course, midwifery, the most important thing, and also independent in the world. As the most appropriate caregivers for childbearing women, and in keeping birth normal, of course, that's really clear, our work, our scope of practice. to enhance the reproductive health of women, their newborns, and their families. So this is really important to really have in mind. This is our mission as ICM, and this is what we work for. We really want midwives associations to join ICM. It's not for individuals, it's for midwives associations, and that's what we're trying to support. But of course, we also are promoting our profession all around the world. And how is our work to strengthen these bonds, to strengthen, this the way that we stay together? We currently represent over 135 midwives associations in almost 120 countries in the world. So we are more than 1 million midwives globally together, but we still need more midwives. We still need more midwives associations to join. We are a trusted partner for technical consultations, capacity building, knowledge sharing, promoting human rights and sustainability. Yes, ICM is really doing a very good job through this, after these 100 years, of course. And, ICM sits in the most important meetings around the world, and voices of midwives are heard. But of course, we need to be stronger. We still are struggling with many things all around the world and in many countries regarding midwifery. And of course, what are we? What is ICM? So you really understand. ICM is an accredited non-governmental organization registered in the Netherlands. Of course, about 100 years ago, it started in Europe when midwives got together there. And through the years, of course, this was a professionalized work. And now we have a large geographic scope and networks in sexual, reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child health and rights. And this is, the area that we are working as ICM. And what do we do as ICM? And of course, regarding the subject of this presentation, we provide resources, assistance, professional development, support, leadership development to more than 100 midwives associations globally. And we are really thrilled. We are so happy and committed to this. But why is it important to forge strong midwifery partnerships? I'm sure if I would ask you, you have many questions, many answers. So maybe it's also good that you reflect, and maybe you can write down in the chat what you think, what is important, why it's so important to forge strong midwifery partnerships. Why do we have to be together, not alone? Why do we have to move forward being together? There are many reasons, and especially to really support and enhance quality of care. We need strong partnerships among midwives led to collaborative environment where skills and knowledge are shared, promoting higher standards of care. And this is really important. Because of course, if we have these strong partnerships, we can share our knowledge, as the professor was sharing with us before, and all this knowledge can be shared all around the world among midwives, and we can really improve our knowledge, improve what we do. We could collaborate. Of course, we could really enhance the quality of care that we do. And the more evidence we have, the more data we have, and our work is based on evidence, the best and the strongest we are, and also the women receive the best care, the quality of care that they really deserve. And also because we need this continuity of care. In the context of childbirth and postpartum care, the ability to provide continuous support is crucial, as we were, of course, listening before also. Strong partnerships ensure that if one midwife is unavailable, other midwives can step in seamlessly, maintaining trust and comfort for the women. This is really important. So this is why we have to stay together. This is why we have to be in partnership, and also we have to learn how to work as a team. Because if one of us is not there, the other one will support. Right now, we are struggling with many things around the world regarding, relationships among midwives. And it's time that really we stick together, that we really, of course, respect each other as we respect women, to really have a strong workforce of midwives. And as it says here, of course, if one is not there, the other one will support, because, of course, the center of our work is the women and their family. And also why? Because we need the professional support and growth. Midwifery can be both physically and emotionally demanding. Of course, we all know how it is, because we're struggling We've been also working through pandemics, and right now after the pandemics, also things are not really easy. So by having strong networks allows for emotional support that we really all of us need and professional development. As fellow midwives can share coping strategies and insights from their experiences. As we can see, these midwives here, they're really happy together. We know how it is, midwives. We love to be together. We love dancing. We love doing many things together. But also, that's good for our hearts and our minds, because we always have to be there for women when women are having hard times, when they're having, also during regular times, they will also need us by their side during all the different stages as they go through during pregnancy and after pregnancy. So it's really, really important that we have a strong networks to allow us to this emotional support. It's so important, especially now in these moments after pandemics. And of course, as I agree with the professor, we also need advocacy and influence. A united approach can be more effective in advocating for the profession's interest and influencing health policies that affect midwives and midwifery practice. That's really, really clear. After 100 years of ICM, you can see how strong it has become. Of course, it's a lot of work behind, and it's a lot of. I've been having the experience to be being a volunteer for many years, and some years ago, the people working at the head office was just 6 people, and now there's 20 people working there. The board used to be, 12 people, and now it's 6 people based, and also these people were selected based on competencies. So everything is moving forward, is professionalizing the work. So that means that the influence of ICM, of course, can get stronger to support midwifery around the world. But of course, how can strong midwifery lead midwife bonds to be for good? Forming strong bonds in the first place, that's what we really need. We can see these midwives there, being together, as we always share as sisters and midwife sisters, being together, holding our hands, maybe, just standing by our side. And how do we do it? We should have regular meetings or workshops, organizing regular meetings, whether for professional development or informal gatherings, help us build personal and professional bonds. And of course, it's based on evidence, because when we want to build teams, it's really important that we get to know each other, not just in the daily work, that we work together and we know that of course, we're human beings, and we also have many things that we have to cope with every day. We also could forge these strong bonds with collaborative practice models, encouraging models of care where midwives work in teams, sharing responsibilities and client caseloads can naturally strengthen relationships and improve service delivery. There, of course, as we are hearing, there are many practice models that will help us, but we also need to improve the way we work among us. There's also need of more research in this area, how we really can make strong bonds among midwives in a career that is really hard, of course, because it's a lot of things going on when we are in the clinical board, in the clinical settings, and struggling in many parts of the world right now with climate change, with wars, and all these things. So really, it's important to be collaborative among each other. Mentorship programs. Establishing mentorship programs where more experienced midwives can guide newer practitioners, can foster strong supportive relationships, and enhance skills transfer. This is really important. Sometimes when you're young, you think, oh, you have so many things that maybe you know all the things, but really it's important to have these mentors, these midwives that will be by your side, that of course they've been through all these things through the years, and they can share with you their experiences, of course, and help you at least short, this time, when you're really trying to do things that maybe have been done before. So it's really important to have someone that could be your mentor, that you could follow, that you could receive advice from, that could help you reflect about your practice, about your daily work. And also communication platforms like this one, for example. Using digital tools and platforms to communicate can help maintain contact, share knowledge, and provide peer support, as we're doing now today, even when we are not physically apart. But we know that in our hearts, we're really together. Even you can feel it when you're through these networks. And what are the challenges in forming strong midwifery partnerships? What do we have to, of course, go over to really move forward? Navigating the landscape of midwifery partnerships comes with its share of hurdles, of course. From diverse in philosophies to geographical barriers, building robust alliances in the field requires flexibility and understanding. Limited resources and heavy workloads add further complexity, making collaboration a balancing act. Addressing these challenges is the key to fostering a supportive network among midwifery professions. So this is the challenges that we have to have in mind. How do we learn that we have diverse practice philosophies, recognize our limitations, resources, know that it depends in the part of the world we are, is the challenges that we will also add to the midwifery practice. And also right now, especially right now when we're coping with a lot of workload, burnout, and a lot of situations that come also from the pandemics, that is mental health of midwives. So it's really, really important to have all these things in mind to plan, to set how that we're going to support. And how do we overcome these challenges? To address these challenges, it is essential to focus on open communication, respect for diverse practices, and shared goals, of course. That's so important. Leadership within the midwifery community should also prioritize creating opportunities for connection and support, like this one, for example, such as through professional organizations or online forums. By addressing these aspects, midwives can forge stronger connections, as we're doing now, even though we're from different parts of the world and we're sharing together, improving not only their own well being and professional satisfaction, but also the quality of care provided to families. And also, strong midwifery leads to, as we see here, this strong tree of life, of course, because of that's what midwifery is. It's just, supporting the world. We are there for families. So in which way should we keep getting midwifery stronger? As being stronger as autonomous professionals, like as individual midwives, educated and competent to work across the international definition and scope of practice of a midwife on their own responsibility, being responsible for decisions and actions, working in partnerships with women, being accountable to women, to the profession, and to society, not working alone or in isolation, consulting, referring, and collaborating as needed and when reaches boundaries of the scope of practice. It's really, really important that we are not working alone, that we have our midwives by our sides, and we also have to ask if we don't know, something about our work. And regarding the profession, midwives should determine and control the standards for education, regulation, and practice. The profession is self-regulated and has a social mandate with society to ensure midwives are competent and meet the professional standards, and has a unique body of knowledge, code of ethics, self-governance, process for decision-making by its members, recognition from society through regulation. So all these are the areas that we really have to work strongly at. If we have strong midwives, we lead to strong communities. Strong midwives, strong mothers, strong and happy families, strong communities, as you can see, because we come from the mother, of course, and we go all through different aspects where midwives are working with programs, being registered in associations as a workforce, and of course, we come to where women and midwives are valued, respected, and have the same right as men. Of course, also at the bottom line is a gender issue that's really strong that we have to go through. So thanks so much for this invitation, for having the chance to share with you today. Thank you.
So thank you for the inspiring perspectives shared by the second speakers. And now it's time for you to rest, and we will continue with the last speakers. So I hope you still join us on the Zoom meeting. So now let's move on to our last speaker. She is a midwife from Indonesia. She has experience and expert in her field. And let me introduce one and only Hanifatur Rosyidah. Hanifatur Rosyidah is dedicated midwife and scholar, holding a master's degree in public health from Amsterdam. She served as a lecturer and certified breastfeeding counselor and also qualified trainer in interpersonal communication by UNICEF. She has actively participated in Women Deliver Young Leader and a Young Midwife Leader with the ICM. She is also the founder of the non-profit organization. The name is @breastfeeding.talk. It aims to advocating and supporting breastfeeding initiative. We can wait to hear her inspiring experiences. So now let's invite her to join this forum. Please welcome Miss Hanifatur Rosyidah. Halo, selamat malam.
Thank you. Yeah, selamat malam. Should we deliver in English or in Bahasa?
If you comfort share this in English, you can share
Okay.
in English.
Okay, I'm trying. Okay, thank you very much to Ruang Bidan Indonesia. Such an honor to be here with Deborah and Sandra, our president. And now I will start my presentation. Can you see? Okay. Yeah. So thank you to Ruang Bidan Indonesia invite me as one of speaker on this wonderful webinar. And I got the topic about the inevitable impact of young midwives in action. So my name is Hanifatur Rosyidah. I'm a part of Young Midwife Leader 2021 to 2023. This program is designed by ICM. This program, the duration 2 years to empower young midwives from around the world. And this is our picture with Sandra. Maybe you remember. Yeah, it was in Bali, Nusa Dua, when we have an ICM Congress. And there's all young midwife leader from many countries and with our president of ICM. So actually, Young Midwife Leader is a program, regular program, every 3 to 5 years that ICM has. I was selected to be Young Midwife Leader in 2021. At that time, it was there are around 20 young midwives from many countries. And what we got here, we got the facility to get access for course, online course in Coursera about the Inspired Leadership Specialization course, Global Quality, Maternal and Newborn Care Negotiation, Mediation, Conflict Resolution, Building Leadership Skill, and Project Management, and also about the public speaking. And I got the opportunity to have an interview with the ICM communication team. It was when we have a breastfeeding week, 1 to 7 every August. So at the time, I was being asked to write about the role of midwife in provision of breastfeeding support. So this is a wonderful opportunity that we got from the ICM. So we are able to attend the Normal Labor Conference in Aarhus, Denmark. So this was the first time we met in person. And then at that time, we also have a workshop with the Gitalal, the UNFPA. And in 2023, we attend the conference ICM Congress in Nusa Dua, Bali. And also at the end, we get the funding to run our project based on our expertise in midwifery in our country. And this project was supported by Johnson & Johnson. Actually, this is my second project from Johnson & Johnson because around 2016, I got also a project from Johnson & Johnson through Women Deliver Young Leader. So let's talk about my project. My project was about enabling midwives to support mothers for a wonderful breastfeeding experience in Kendal District, Central Java, Indonesia. The goal of this project is to increase the exclusive breastfeeding rate in Indonesia, and the objectives are to improve midwife competencies in providing breastfeeding care and to increase the proportion of mothers who get breastfeeding support. These are our activities. We conduct a capacity building. We train 12 midwives from 3 puskesmas in Kendal, and at the time we collaborate with Midwifery Association of Indonesia and also from the government level, from health district officer in Kendal. And in that training, we also have a role play or simulation using a breastfeeding flashcard. This instrument was developed with my student and I during the scriptsi or thesis period of my students, and also after the training, every midwife should provide breastfeeding education in their clinic, in their community. So this is the first achievement that we have. The first objective that we want to improve the competencies of midwife regarding breastfeeding. We did a pre-test and post-test before and after the training, and we can see here there is a significant improvement before and after the training. We use the kappa instrument. This instrument is actually from Spain. This instrument to assess the competency of midwife regarding breastfeeding, and we translated into Indonesia. Yeah. So at the right side, we can see here that the p-value is 0.001. That means there is a significant difference between the pre and post breastfeeding education training in terms of the competency of midwives. Our second achievement is about increasing the beneficiaries, the mothers, our client to get the breastfeeding support. So here, after 50 days after the training, we did an evaluation and monitoring, and from 12 midwives, we got so many beneficiaries. There is 205 pregnant mothers, 70 postpartum mothers, 186 parents, and 55 grandmothers. Because in Indonesia, culturally, the grandmothers have a very big influence for the mothers to breastfeed. And most of them provide breastfeeding education in puskesmas and others also in private midwifery clinic, prenatal class, in posyandu, home visit, postpartum room, and also seminar. This project is followed by randomized control trials, and fortunately, we got the ethical clearance already. And then now we are still, this project is still ongoing. So we have around 120 participants that our targeted, and then because we have 12 midwives as our participant during the training, so each midwife should have a 10 pregnant mother on the third trimester. So 5 of them will be the control group and 5 of them will be the intervention group. So 6 weeks after the mother delivered the baby, we collect the data about the breastfeeding self-efficacy, satisfaction of breastfeeding, perceived insufficient milk, and also we identify is there any breastfeeding problem that they face. And currently we are in these steps, about the data collection for 6 weeks after delivery. And we will continue this project until 6 months after delivery. So we will see again the breastfeeding self-efficacy and also the exclusive breastfeeding uptake. So what young midwife can do to support midwifery profession? I can say that leadership is very important, that all of us should have these skills. And to support the midwives, before we talk about leadership, I think it is very important for us to read and understand the ICM document in the website, as Sandra mentioned before, because ICM already provides so many things, regulation, tools, and standards, that actually this is our chance to read through of them and understand what should we do. And ICM has a professional framework for midwifery in 2021. One of them is about leadership to support the midwives globally. And I think these 6 documents that at least we ever read and we understand about this. ICM philosophy, model of midwifery care, and regulation toolkit, essential competencies for midwifery practices, global standard for midwifery education and regulation, and the last one is about the International Code of Ethics for Midwifery. Yeah, this is so we should understand what the leader means. Previously, I think many people and me, I thought that leader means only the person who have a high position, but I think young midwife in Ruang Bidan Indonesia already implement the leaderships in their community, and this is very good initiative that Indonesian young midwife has. So let's get started. So first of all, I can say that it is important for us to identify our patients, because in midwifery we have so many topics. So I can say that my passion is about breastfeeding. So I focus more on breastfeeding. So maybe one midwife and the other has a different passion. So it is very important to know what is our strength, what is our passion, so we can focus on that to improve midwife in this patient. So after that, we need to set the goals. This is the example for my goals. My goals is, the first one is, I hope there is a standard midwife curriculum on knowledge and skills to support breastfeeding in Indonesia. And also, I hope that midwives are competent to provide breastfeeding education to mothers and family. And the last one, I hope we always do the advocacy campaign at local, national level to regulate and monitor the marketing of breast milk substitutes. And after setting the goals, we have to have a growth mindset. That means we always seek find opportunity to continue learning and learning. Besides that, we need to have several skills that very important. The first one is networking, because with networking we can connect people, we can know, we can collaboration also, and also there are so many opportunity about the grant if we join in several community. This is what I have. I was a woman daily for young leader in 2016, and I got a grant in Women Deliver. I got a grant too about the sexual reproductive health and rights among street children in Indonesia. And public speaking is also important. This was in Yokohama, Japan. I presented my master thesis there, 2015, and then this was in Canada, 2019. I was invited by ICM to have to become a speaker on with the WHO. And also, we need to have a skill to write a project proposal. So we will find, because actually there are so many grants opportunity in websites, so many for example, women deliver YML program. They also provide a grant, and also there are other organizations, Canada government, Australia government, and also USAID also provide many grants especially for maternal and child health. Okay, thank you so much. I will end my presentation by show my video during my project. Thank you. Oh. Give back to moderator.
Thank you, Mbak Hanifatur, for the video. And thank you for your enlightening presentation. So now we have reached to the end of the panel discussion. So we move on to the Q&A session. Let me to invite to all speakers, Deborah, Sandra, and Mbak Hanifatur to join Q&A session, and to all audience who would like to ask question directly to the speakers. In the chat box is already there's a question. So for Ms. Rizka Ayu Satyani, can you directly a question to our speakers?
Hello, sorry, Miss Look Sukeningsih. I was in outside, so I cannot speak directly, so I write in chat box. Sorry.
Okay, I will read the question from Rizka Ayu Satyani. This is a question for Debbie and Sandra. The first question is IDM 2024 term is very interesting. Midwife, vital climate solution. In your perspective, what are the most primary role of midwife in addressing global maternal and child health challenges, especially in climate challenges? And second, how do these rules translate to the practice of midwifery, specifically for young midwives in Indonesia? For the first, the time for Debbie to answer this question.
Sure, I'll be happy to. climate change and its impact is something we're working on now too. I think it's important for Indonesia, given you're right on the equator. It can be very hot here. One of the big things that we're trying to address, and that I think is important for Indonesian midwives to understand, and that's the impact of heat on mothers and babies. There's data to show it increases prematurity. I'm afraid I don't know all the data on it, but there are a number of groups and a number of studies now that really show how impactful it can be. Whether it's women, think about the women who work in the fields, in the rice paddies, in the really hot weather. We as midwives should be informing them that you need to keep drinking. They need to get out of the sun when it's really hot. And we need to understand the data of what it can cause. So I'll stop there on, and I'm happy to share with Diana. There's a working group on it, and there are some articles that would be useful. Over.
Hi.
Thank you,
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Debbie, for your answer. So now, please, for Sandra, for answer to question.
Thank you very much. Of course, this is the highlight of this IDMs, this year's IDM. So this is for us to think, of course, that this is one of the big challenges right now, the climate change and all the how it affects families, women's, and of course us as midwives. And we have to keep in mind, that of course we can really be in every place, especially community-based midwives. We can work more easily reaching areas affected by climate disasters that we know that we see many experiences right now, and quickly provide essential reproductive and maternal health services. Our work, of course, is really important in those places, and it's evidence-based. And of course, when we are really close to communities, we can supply this, all this, we can distribute all the things that women would need for in those moments, ensure that women and babies have access to care during the worst scenario, for example. And of course, as by resourcing midwifery services also, and as midwives, the healthcare systems, of course, will be supported by us when in the spaces that we're working at, coordinating and being part of the teams that are working in climate crisis, for example, working at the plans to respond during this really worst scenario. So this is why midwives are really essential. We play a vital role in reaching areas hit by climate disasters because midwives are everywhere. In most of the countries, midwives are usually in rural areas where not other healthcare workforce is. So our work is really vital, especially because we are offering essential reproductive and maternal health services. So it's so important for us then to be at this stage. And also, why it's so important that midwives are presented during climate crisis is because we ensure to really have a safe and respectful care for women when they are really suffering, for example, when the families are suffering. We also provide these services in the communities and at the hospital levels that sometimes, of course, because of climate crisis, could be affected. And we reduce in this way the carbon print. Because of course we are working especially inside the communities where not many health workforce is. So this is also a way to make a call to the stakeholders, of course, and to advocate for midwives, because we're really working there. We're taking a midwifery care, and we're improving maternal and newborn care when the times is worse during this climate scenario. So we really have to join then to address the need of more midwives during these really hard situations. Midwives are a vital solution. We have to be prepared right now when the world is changing really fast, especially also in areas where the world is and also is affected by climate change. So what can I say? I mean, we also have to be just joining this really call, and we need to also move towards more research to have this data that we really will show that we are really essential, of course.
So thank you for Debbie and Sandra for the answer. And now, please to the audience who raise hand, who want to. This is Perwita. The time is yours.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I would like to ask to our president, Mrs. Sandra. I heard that one of health nursing school or midwifery school in Laos has been accredited internationally. So how can we implement that in education system in Indonesia? Is that possible if, for example, my campus, my institution has collaboration with ECM to build or to establish a new curriculum that recognized internationally? I hope the question is clear, Ms. Sandra.
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, yes, there's a really important aspect that you're talking about, accreditation of these midwifery programs, and ICM has been working very strongly in this to accreditate. And of course, if your midwifery school is not accredited, it's the way to go to contact ICM. There's different contacts, so we can really the head office will come to you. The team that is working in this MIAP, this tool, and will come to the midwifery school to start the process, because of course this process of accreditation is a long process, and sometimes in between we know that there's a lot of challenges, but also it's very good because there's also another tool that will help midwifery schools, midwifery programs to move forward, because if there are areas that we have to work for example, faculty, I don't know, the students affairs, related things that they are needed, will be there to support and tell you what is needed to move forward. So ICM is working, applying these tools, and also, moving forward with this work in many places. So I think that's a way to go. But of course, to highlight that it's also really important to contact ICM through head office, because right now the way that ICM is working, because we went through a governance change, we have, of course, the governance board, that is the board, us, the ones that we are, all the ones that represent in different areas, the president and treasurer. And also we have the head office team that now is 20 midwives. We have many midwives and also non-midwives working there, and they are doing the operational work. So there's a team especially working in this area regarding accreditation. So you're welcome to contact me if you want, and we keep in contact, and I will let you talk to the team.
Thank you very much, for the opportunity. Maybe one last question,
Thank you.
Mbak Moderator.
Thank you for the answer, and thank you for Mbak Perwita. So next, for the next question, we have the raised hand, Mbak Rufidah Maulina. That is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity, Ms. Moderator, and also all the speaker. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rufidah Maulina. Currently, I am a midwife lecturer in Universitas 11 Maret in Indonesia. And I have a question for Mrs. Sandra. Many young midwives, as I know, especially freshly graduates, underestimate their self and ability to become a midwife. And some young midwives start to leave this job and change their career, not become a midwife, because they saw that midwife oftenly underpaid and difficult to look for job, especially job regarding midwifery. And how is your suggestion as president of ICM regarding the situation when midwives leaves the job, and how we can motivate them, new and young midwife, to still stay in this profession, and maybe how is the suggestion to stakeholder? Thank you. Is it clear?
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you very much
moderator.
for this. Yeah, thank
Right.
you very much for
You.
this really important question. Of course, if young midwives don't want to leave the workforce, we won't have midwives anymore. So it's really hard to hear that, of course. And I know midwives and the workforce is struggling a lot, especially young midwives and around the world after the pandemics. That have been really hard times. And also, of course, we know the situation and what are we doing as ICM? We're really supporting the profession. This is why we have this new framework that the Hanifatur was just showing. So we really highlight our, the scope of our practice, and we're really supporting, this all around the world, the profession to be stronger. And we also working very strongly with associations, because that's the thing, that we have to work with associations to go through the governments and really, make our voice heard. Because if the government doesn't support midwives, if we don't have a well-paid jobs, of course, young midwives won't like to work there. So also we have to advocate at local level, at government level, and it's really important. Also, there's a tool that there's an ICM also that is for supporting governments in seeing, this work of midwives. Also, as a door open that we can work when midwives associations need support. So we already know that, of course, that's really important. And these meetings, for example, that we're having now is a way to highlight and support midwives and midwives to really see that you have the future in your hands. Because if and the midwives are the base of the world, as we were seeing this picture, how do we have a world if there's no more babies and midwives by their women's side? So we really have to be supportive. I think also some other thing that we have to do is maybe the older ones, like we mentor the younger ones, be by your side, and let you know that there's, of course, many things that we can do. So don't feel alone. We are with you. We are here to support you to move forward. And you are the light of the midwifery, the young midwives. So I just can tell you that we're going to be here for you and all the things that you need, the support you need, of course, to bring young midwives into the future.
All right. Thank you so much for the answer.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you moderator and team for this opportunity. I am Fabiola, a midwife who graduated from Universitas Airlangga Surabaya, Indonesia. Thank you in advance to the Ruang Bidan Indonesia for organizing an extraordinary event today. I want to greet.
Ya. Dia tuh ini orangnya tuh ngomongnya tuh harus ingat dia.
Okay. I want to greet Mr. Hanifatur because we are both from Semarang. Very lucky to be able to meet at today's event. And coincidentally, the topic raised by Mr. Hanifatur was about breastfeeding, which was in line with my skripsi topic, Mbak Hani. My question is directed at Mr. Sandra, Mr. Hanifa, and Mrs. Debbie about global collaboration must be based on strong understanding of the challenges, needs, and local context of different countries and communities. This enables the development of relevant and sustainable solutions. What are effective strategies to ensure that global collaboration in midwifery does not only take place as a short-term project, but is also sustainable in the long term? What do you think about this? Okay, thank you.
So maybe our Lusukeningsi.
Okay.
Yeah.
This for a question from Fabiola, and we start from Debbie to answer this question.
I'm not completely sure I understand, but if I think this is about local context and it's about sustainability. Is that true, Fabella? Okay, so
Yes.
sustainability is probably one of our biggest challenges. You know, for folks who work in programs, when we bring in new ideas, we ask for change, and we don't give them enough time to actually do that. Too often when we leave, they go back to their old ways of doing things. So I think one of the ways to make sustainable change is to include the people you're working with in the decision-making of a program. So if you're working in a community, how are they involved in making decisions about how you do things, how you monitor? Is the leaders of the community aware of this? Are they on board? Were they asked in the beginning? So I think thinking about sustainability from the beginning is a really important thing to do. And I think back to my many comments on data, using data to show successes, to encourage the people to continue this work in terms of sustainability is can be quite important. And I'll stop there because there are other people to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for your answer. So now for Sandra to answer the question from
Okay. Favela, from what I understood, was, to see this global collaboration will be an example, for example, on the ICM side, a way of, do collaboration and also thinking about sustainability, as Debbie was talking about, is a program called Twinning that is, of course, has been in ICM for many years. And our past president also was doing research in this area, so it's really important. There's some articles that were written by her, and so now there's this program in ICM that's called Twin to Win, where there's two associations that are twinning together. For example, one that is more not so developed and a developed one, and there's really nice examples. For example, the Canadian Midwives Association, they were at some 6 or 9 years ago. They were twinning with an association from Africa that was just in the starting. They didn't have any office, nothing. They just were a couple of midwives together. So they were working with this twinning program for there's 2 years. And at the end, they became really strong. They became really well known at the country level in Africa. And also on the other side, the Canadian Midwives Association was recognized in their country, and they were, even invited to the United Nations. It was really amazing. And also right now, there's some other twinning projects going on. For example, with some a Latin American association, and also the Dutch Midwives Association, and some other ones. So I think that's a really good example of how we can also be sustainable and work into the future. The program lasts 2 or 3 years. So there's two associations that start working together. One that is from the first world and one from the second and third world. And also they're twin together. So, and also some other ones that can do south to south collaboration. So also there's another way to do twinning, because in that way we can share practices of the different areas, but also we can share experiences. For example, the ones that been, for one midwives in one side of the world had help, and the other ones also teach us. They both teach each other. And also this really make a strong bond, because when something happens to one association, the other one is really alert there and wants to help. So I think that's a way to go. And also there's a door open to work with ICM in these twinning projects.
Thank you for Sandra for the answer. And the last for Mbak Hanifatur, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the question. The first question is about how our strategy to get collaboration globally. So I will say that English is the important skill that we should have before we connect people internationally. So I suggest for young midwife in Indonesia, for me too, we need to improve our English so we can have communication with foreign, because without English, without English skills, so it is difficult for us to communicate with others. And the second one is about the sustainable. In my project, I collaborate with the government, so and also Midwifery Association, because I hope after the project has been done, I hope this will continue the education breastfeeding in Puskesmas and Posyandu. But still, because there is question about the obstacle during my project, the sustainability is the most obstacle that we have. It is very difficult to continue, especially when our funding is finished already. So it is good to have a collaboration with the government, what Deborah said, because they have funding, they have human resources to continue our project, to continue what our goals in their place, in their community. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you to all answer from our speakers, and thank you for interesting question from Fabella. And next, we have question from Mbak Salvadinah Kalunisa. Time is yours.
Hi, I'm Zalfa. I'm so sorry. I'm on my way right now, but I hope you can hear my voice clearly. Yeah, I want to ask. I have a question for Debbie. Debbie, I'm a midwife and a research assistant, and in my journey as a midwife and a research assistant, I have experienced a significant difference between filed data and data from several reputable government websites. Not in all aspects, maybe in some cases or some aspects, but what we will do to address the current situation, particularly related to maternal and child health, is based on existing data, since maternal and child health issue are complex. And this is also occur in these other countries, especially another developing country like Indonesia. This is so interesting and confusing at the same times. So how can we as a midwife address this issue, and what steps we can take to resolve such cases, to stay aligned with the government in working together or collaboration to improve the quality of healthcare, maternal and child health, and reduce maternal and infant mortality rates in Indonesia. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope this question can provide useful insights for our future steps as a midwife and researchers. Thank you.
First of all, I want to say that's a great question. And it's a problem. It's a problem in many places, including my own country. So I think, first of all, you need to verify your own data. Okay. I would try to publish your own data. I would be sharing your data with the local authorities in whatever area you're in, because it is not uncommon that these big data sets that a government has are not as accurate as they should be. And even the government knows that, usually. I would be looking for, and I have a very good friend who's a statistician here, I would be looking for people who understand data well to talk with them. There's, I forget Yuan's last name, but he, because what's important and what he's done is by sharing his data and actually walking people through it so they could see its truthfulness, it started to help make changes. Some of his work was with COVID, really trying to point out some of the issues the government wasn't seeing. And eventually the government said, come on, you join us and help us with this, because what he was saying was true. So we should not give up. But the other side of it is sometimes our data is small enough that when you add it to the bigger aggregate, it's, it doesn't end up holding up. Or maybe your data is only true for a certain area. So, those are the kinds of things you need to look at. And, I don't know if you are within a university or a research assistant, within a university, look for your biostatisticians. Look for the people who know and learn from them. Talk with them, ask them, are there other things you should be doing to share your data, to strengthen your data? Are you missing something? Because you want to be really confident if you're going to take it forward as well. But I really want to give you credit. It's a super question. It's a great question. It's something that we all should be thinking about. And as midwives, we shouldn't, I think Hani was talking about this. We're not, or there's maybe a question. We're not always confident, okay? Because we're, those people, it's the government, it's, somebody higher than us. But in fact, we're right. So some of it is being confident in your own data and your methodologies to go forward with it. So I congratulate you. Keep going. Over.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Debbie, for the insightful answers. It means a lot to me and likely to other midwives out there, especially as a researcher. And I hope Indonesia can continue to improve in its services and researches. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you so much to Mbak Salva and Debbie for the great question and answer. So now we have question from Mbak Raisa Manika. Time is yours.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for Sandra and Mbak Hanifatur for joining us today. But in this special occasion, I have a question for Debbie. Since I think we share the same background, I just graduated from social science and policy, and also I'm a midwife. So my question is probably quite personal, Debbie. So I'm working in an NGO right now, which focuses on health digitalizations for frontline health provider, including midwives. So I'm sorry, Debbie. So yeah, I'm working in an NGO right now, focusing on health digitalization for those health provider who works in a frontline healthcare system, including midwives. So the purpose is to advance their maternal care and documentations. My question is, since I'm not working directly with women, unlike clinicians, sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to feel like I'm a midwife. Like I feel like I'm disconnecting with my background as a midwife. So how do you convince yourself, especially for those midwife who is working in, for example, like governmental level or in an NGO like you and me, that our work is actually impactful and have like positive long-term outcome for the maternal healthcare system in our country? So that's my questions. Thank you. I'm a bit lost right now, so I think I need some kind of, like encouragement to continue what I'm working right now. Thank you.
Again, these are great questions. We all feel that. So one of the things I would say is you need to step back and think about, for me, I started as a clinician. I started with working with NGOs, being involved, and this is probably your challenge of, I was more involved in training. I was involved with hands-on work to start with. And I've never forgotten that. And so I think some of you, what you need to do is think about how you bring that knowledge and skills of midwifery into this digital work you're doing. Because I think what we need to realize as midwives, we are unique. We have a unique set of skills, and we bring different way of thinking and a different set of skills to the work you're doing. So particularly if you can, think about how you're impacting MCH and keep an eye on that. The other thing I would say you might want to do, and I have colleagues who've done it, is at least volunteer in a clinic or some place where you actually have some hands-on work and you're with moms and babies again. It could be once a month. It could be within a friend's clinic. But to stay, and the other thing is to join groups like this. Now you're hearing all of the issues that midwives are dealing with. And they will probably look to you thinking she has some solutions that can help us. You know, and Sandra was saying, you know, we need to be a team. We need to stick together. Everybody has different skills. We can't forget our clinicians, but we need our researchers. We need our educators. We need our digitalization people. You know, we need our data people. We all contribute. And when we start feeling like we're like not in touch with the moms and baby side, go see your friends and volunteer with them and stay connected to a group like this. That's what I would say. Over.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Debbie. I'm actually volunteering in Ruang Bidan Indonesia, and I also plan to go to clinic, like probably, yeah, just like you said, probably once in a month, just to get in touch with my midwifery. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you to Mbak Raisa Manika and also Debbie. And I opened for last one question for all audience. Please raise your hand if you want to ask to all our speakers before we end the session. If you want to ask question, just please raise your hand in the Zoom meeting and directly ask your question to the speakers. Okay, I think we have one last question. We have one last question from the chat box. We have from Mawar Sahara. She wants to ask to Debbie about postpartum hemorrhage. Postpartum hemorrhage is one of the main contributors to maternal death. And basically, we as midwife, of course, have provided the best service, including prevention, as early as possible by ensuring the mother doesn't experience anemia by providing FA to help maintain the mother hemoglobin within normal limits. As young midwife, I'm very curious, in your country, has anything else been developed or discovered to prevent hemorrhagic bleeding? Thank you.
Sure. Again, very good question. First of all, I want to say I'm very happy that you recognize the importance of anemia. And one of the things that we should know is that, yes, we have many women who are mildly anemic, but if we have women who are moderately or severely anemic, they are much more at risk for postpartum hemorrhage, and the severe ones are much more at risk for death. So we should be aware of that. We should be monitoring that, in fact, we are helping women with their anemia. I mean, this is a recent learning for me. It was in the big PPH summit. I did not realize there was actually data about the connection to death. Okay, so, but for prevention, in addition to helping with anemia and supporting a woman to take her IFA, etc., the uterotonic immediately after birth, so we used to call it and some people still do, active management of the 3rd stage. So right after the baby is born, and you're sure you don't have a twin, you give oxytocin, if you have a refrigerator and can keep it there, or misoprostol. Those are both uterotonics. And that should prevent 60 to 70% of postpartum hemorrhages. You do want to make sure that the woman is okay with this, okay? Because I know that there are places where they feel that they don't want the medicines because they have the availability of managing emergencies. But I have also had my African friends say, but we want to make sure, number one, we have anemic women, and number two, it will take us a while to get someone to a place for surgery. So these uterotonics are really important. So it is recommended by WHO for every woman after birth, but the women do need to agree. That's probably the most important thing you can do for prevention. And of course, there's massage, you know, and I do think when we don't have enough staff, women need to learn how to massage their own uterus and tell them it needs to feel firm and like a grapefruit. You know, they can do it themselves. Their partner could be with them. You can teach them to just monitor that. And part of the PPH bundle now is actually we need to measure. This is a very new thing. Indonesia, it's not part of what you do. It's not part of what most countries do now. But if, you know, we're talking about whether there's a drape that can catch the blood, whether we can put something under a woman, you know, it's the new thing that we're going to be trying to encourage because we do a terrible job of estimating. But now I'm moving into treatment. So I'll stop. For prevention, uterotonics and massage, and keep up your good work with anemia. Over.
Thank you for Debbie for interesting answer. So because we have limited times and before we have the question that come in, then the time is limited for the question that have not been answered. Maybe we can summarize and answer by the speaker via email. And before we end this session, please 1 or 2 statements as closing markup from each of for you. Maybe start from Mbak Hanifa.
Okay, thank you. So my closing statement is about midwife is a person who not only provide for prenatal care and labor, but midwife has a fundamental role to support, to educate, and to advocacy. So this time for young midwives to have this role to improve our midwifery profession. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Hanifa. And now for Sandra, time is yours.
Well, first of all, I really thank you all for this invitation. I'm really happy I have been with you this morning for me, and I just want to say that we really have to stick together. We have to stay together, and really support ourselves as midwives. We are a big family of sisters around the world, and we're not alone. We are all together in this. And especially because we are women, we have to support each other and support the women that we are with. And in this way, we'll really make strong bonds because we are there all the time. You are midwives, we are women, we are mothers, we are sisters, we're friends. So we just have to keep it up. And I'm sure this way that we're working until now, it's been 100 years of being together in this big confederation. We have to have more 100 years and 200, 300. So let's keep it up. Let's keep on working as great as you're doing. Just so much congratulations to you, and I think that's of course my final message.
Thank you, Sandra, for great motivation for us. And for the time for Debbie.
Sure. I just want to give all of you a huge congratulations for, I was looking, you know, 140 some participants. That's fabulous. very well run. You know, not a glitch. I'm used to technology glitches, but none have happened here. I feel like the big message is for you to continue this because, as I said, lifelong learning and providing people the, you know, really maybe doing some surveys to understand what are the needs of your midwives. But as I said in probably from my talk, it was be competent, be confident, and be accountable, and use data. And with that, I end.
So thank you for the interesting information from all speakers, and thank you to all active participants in this session. There are many amazing questions and insight that we can learn from three speakers of our discussion, and I want to thank to Deborah, Sandra, and Mbak Hanifatur for sharing her expertise and experiences, and I also thank to all the participants for their active involvement during the webinar. This is our initiative event to celebrate International Day of the Midwife from Ruang Bidan Indonesia. And after this, there will be another event. And don't forget to follow us in our social media. And it's honored to be the moderator for this event. To thank you for all being part of today's moderators. So I will return the time again to Midwife Anissa.
Okay, thank you, Suke. That was a very inspiring presentation and discussion. Thank you very much, Debbie, Sandra, dan Mbak Hanifa. We know you are very busy, but you took the time to attend our event. This discussion gives us a lot of insight. We hope you enjoy the webinar. Thank you for joining us today. And before we end this event, we will take some picture together. Please turn on your camera and prepare your best smile and best style. Maybe the operator can help me to screenshot. Okay. For the first is slide one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we going move to slide 2. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much. And for all the participants, we will share a link for a certificate at the end of the event. And you can fill in the form. You can give the link in the comment box. And if you need other information or you need still keep in touch with our profession, we already have MLCF. Okay, what is MLCF? Mbak Dian will give us information about MLCF. Mbak Dian, time and screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Icha, and thank you so much for our honored speaker and our participant from Midwife Indonesia. Explain briefly about our next agenda. We call MLCF. Please, the operator, to share the screen. Okay, I will explain this in bahasa Indonesia. Jadi teman-teman, kita akan ada kegiatan, insya Allah nama kegiatannya yaitu Midwifery Leadership and Career Festival. Awal mula dari kegiatan ini adalah ketika Ruang Bidan Indonesia sudah mengumpulkan beberapa kegiatan, kita awal berdiri, kemudian kita juga sudah mempublikasikan kegiatan kita pada saat Kongres ICM tahun 2023 di Bali. Kemudian pada kegiatan AMIDC tahun kemarin, tahun 2023, FPI juga, next slide, Mbak Ida. Di AMIDC tahun kemarin, sama seperti AMIDC tahun sekarang, kita juga melaksanakan mini leadership yang terdiri dari 25 pertemuan dengan berbagai macam latar belakang, baik bidang klinisi, rumah sakit, puskesmas maupun bidan yang kerja di pendidikan maupun di riset, dan ini menjadikan PR untuk kita bersama. Kita tadi sudah jelaskan oleh Mbak Hanifatur Rosyidah bahwa leadership penting sekali untuk bidan, sehingga dari hal tersebut kami ingin melaksanakan kegiatan MLBC. Next slide, Mbak Izan. Ini beberapa agenda kita, rencana agenda kita akan ada 4 sesi, dan kita akan menghadirkan bidan dengan berbagai macam latar belakangnya. Untuk sesi pertama kita akan mengundang bidan-bidan yang bekerja di NGO. Kemudian untuk minggu kedua, teman-teman mungkin sudah banyak yang tahu tentang Mbak Jamila Tusaidiyah ya, yang sekarang lagi jadi panutan bidan-bidan di Indonesia. Insya Allah beliau juga akan hadir. Kemudian di sesi ketiga, untuk teman-teman yang tadi juga banyak teman-teman yang berasal dari researcher gitu ya. Nanti kita juga akan belajar bagaimana dari researcher itu akan membangun leadership, dan yang terakhir itu kita akan menghadirkan bidan-bidan yang bekerja di bidang birokrasi. Begitu teman-teman, dan untuk kegiatan-kegiatan ini insya Allah akan kami share di Jepang, yaitu di IG. Jadi kalau teman-teman ada pertanyaan mengenai kegiatan ini, boleh DM di Instagram Ruang Bidan Indonesia. It's enough, Ica, and I hope you can join this event, and I give the event back to Ica.
Okay, thank you Mbak Dian for your information. Jadi untuk para partisipan, jangan lupa bulan depan ikuti lagi event kami, yaitu MLCF, karena nanti kita akan menghadirkan bidan-bidan yang sangat luar biasa pada bidangnya, yang akan memberikan kita insight baru bahwa ternyata dunia kebidanan itu sangat luas sekali. Okay, thanks again for joining us today, and see you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.